Hallam is a grown man on the outside and a lost kid on the inside. Since his mom passed away, Hallam has made a second home out of a shabby little treehouse behind his house. He spends most of his time in this shed with his diary and his collection of mom memorabilia. He pours all his feelings daily into his diary and then sometimes drifts down to the lake where he used to go with his mom. Hallam is not moving on from the death of his mother, and all this isolation is turning Hallam into a weird person who's awkward, childish, and out of sync with everyone. One day, he sees two teens hooking up near his treehouse, and Hallam suddenly channels his inner Animal Planet host, sneaking up on the teenagers like some deranged wildlife expert. The couple freaks out and splits, and the girl threatens to get her big brother involved. As for Hallam's dad, Julius, didn't waste a minute before getting married to another woman named Verity just after his wife died. Which just makes Hallam miss her more. Only his sister Lucy seems to understand and care for him. So Hallam hides away in the treehouse. For an anniversary celebration, the family gathers and talks about Lucy, going away for college in Australia, escaping the circus, which is her family, once and for all. Hallam asks Verity about how she met his dad and gets to know that Verity was his dad's secretary. This convinces Hallam that his dad was cheating on his deceased mom all along. As for him, nobody can replace his mom. Another hobby of Hallam is spying on neighbors. From watching new moms breastfeed to keeping tabs on dad and Verity, Hallam has serious boundary issues. With Lucy leaving for college, who was the only person who cared about Hallam, he now spends the night in his treehouse, staring at a photo of his mom, hoping for a miracle. Next morning, Lucy leaves for Australia. Hallam is hiding at the rooftop, too proud to come and say goodbye to her. Lucy tries to find him, but time runs out, and she leaves without meeting him. At lunch, Verity and Dad express their desire to Hallam, that it's time for him to move out like Lucy did and be independent. However, Hallam refuses and makes his way towards the lake and finds his mom's boat, which has a mysterious hole. Naturally, Hallam's mind goes full true crime, and he weighs in the possibility of his mother's suicide being a murder. When he tries to talk to his dad, he overhears a conversation between Verity and his dad that Hallam is a burden and his childish behavior is intolerable. This makes Hallam point out Verity as the villain. Hallam corners his dad in the woods to deliver his sabotage theory, but his dad instead tells him to grow up. That night, Hallam does his best Sherlock impression, digging through family paperwork for clues, but finds nothing. He heads back to his beloved treehouse, only to see some strangers hanging around in it. Instead of confronting them, he hides himself in the bushes until they leave. When he enters the treehouse, he finds it trashed and his mom's photo defaced. It turns out that this was revenge from the girl's brother, whom he had seen earlier with a boy making out. Luckily, Hallam's diary and his mom's belongings are safe and untouched. Next day, Hallam tries to shift the box of his mom's keepsakes to a safer place in his closet. But in his rush to answer a call from Lucy, he leaves the key out. Verity finds the keys in Hallam's room and opens the box. She comes across Hallam's diary and reads it, discovering all his secret thoughts, obsessions, and some uncomfortable feelings about Verity herself. She photocopies the strangest entries from the diary, which really show how complicated Hallam's emotional state is. After finishing the call with Lucy, Hallam visits the lake and investigates his mom's boat further. To compare the hole, he creates another hole with a hammer, which proves that the original hole was deliberately created by someone. Afterwards, Verity shows up at the treehouse and politely asks Hallam if she can come up, and Hallam refuses. However, Verity climbs up. Inside the treehouse, she starts reading aloud the photocopied entries from his diary, putting all Hallam's feelings for her out in the open. Verity, now fully aware, tries to talk Hallam into letting go of his mother's death, which causes him to lose control and accuse Verity of murder. This makes her laugh. This gesture pushes Hallam over the edge, because nothing says I need therapy quite like strangling your stepmom in a treehouse. With Verity gasping for air, she suddenly does a complete 180-degree move and decides to use Hallam's feelings for her. Hallam, being just a normal guy, finally gave in, and they end up sleeping together in the treehouse. After coming to her senses about what went down between the two, Verity advises Hallam to hurry up and move on with his life in the city, as there was always a chance that this could happen again between them, and also to protect the relationship with his dad. To avoid getting caught up in an endless family drama, Hallam decides to listen to Verity and leave for the city. Lost and hopeless, he reaches the city without any idea as to what he should do. One night, a stranger offers Hallam drugs, and he says no, then gets stopped by police for attempted murder to refusing drugs. Hallam is hitting all his squares on the troubled youth bingo card. He panics and runs from the police officer and eventually hides in an empty generator room. He wakes up the next day surrounded by rats, and he spots a woman in the alley who resembles his deceased mom way too much. He follows her creepily to a fancy hotel where she works as an HR. He kept staring and then eventually got caught staring at the woman. She then asked Hallam if he needed something, and he says that he needs a job. She ends up giving him a business card and tells him to apply. Hallam just stands there in silence without moving, so the woman starts to feel sorry for him and offers him a job in the kitchen. Hallam takes the job and starts working. However, he still follows the woman whose name is Kate and keeps an eye on her. Stalking had basically become Hallam's second nature. One day, Hallam realizes that Kate isn't at home, so he breaks into her apartment to check where she might have gone. Inside her room, he discovers that he can spy directly in her apartment from the hotel rooftop standing opposite her building. He also finds out that Kate is a widow, and then suddenly, Kate returns. Hallam barely escapes out of the window. Hallam has now a new spot from where he can continuously spy on Kate. And the next day, Hallam sneaks up to the hotel rooftop during his break time to perfect his professional stalker routine. But on the way back down, he is caught by John, the hotel's director, who states that only office staff are allowed upstairs. Hallam pretends to listen, but starts spying on Kate at night, often crashing at the rooftop of the hotel. One night, he spots Kate getting cozy with another guy. He then rushes towards her apartment and peeks through her window for a closer view. That's when he realizes that the man is none other than John, the hotel's director, who's already married. Hallam, shattered by Kate's affair with John, tries to move on from her, but he ends up filing a police report accusing his stepmom of murdering his deceased mom. Afterwards, he goes back to the hotel rooftop and again spies on Kate. However, John catches him in the act. Realizing that Hallam knows about his secret affair with Kate, he threatens Hallam about reporting his spying activities. But Hallam flips the threat and tells him that he will contact his wife and disclose all the information about his affair with Kate. John loses his temper and fires Hallam then and there. In Hallam's world, getting fired is just another way to collect dirt on his boss. Out of options, Hallam goes full nuclear and decides to pay a visit to John's family and surprises John. He managed to get the address by sneaking into John's office before leaving the hotel. Seeing Hallam, John quickly realizes that firing him is not a good option and decides to give him his job back. Hallam actually starts working hard in the kitchen, which Kate notices and promotes him to hotel porter. But his old habits do not leave him easily, and Hallam continues to spy on Kate. He catches John visiting her again and watches everything happening between them from Kate's window. Hallam spends his 18th birthday alone at the hotel rooftop, reading an old letter from his mom, which makes him miss her even more. At work, Hallam looks completely dead from inside until a co-worker suggests that he should celebrate his birthday in a club, as he is legally of the age to drink alcohol. Hallam seems unsure at the idea, but Kate insists. Kate feels proud at how far Hallam has come, and she, the co-worker, and Hallam celebrate Hallam's birthday at the bar. The co-worker gets drunk and leaves early from the club, with Hallam and Kate alone together. Hallam asks Kate if she is dating John, but she denies it, stating that John is married. Kate and Hallam keep drinking till late night, and Kate ends up inviting Hallam back to her place. He hesitates, but she pulls him in anyway. When they get back to the apartment, Hallam feels awkward as this is all new territory for him. Kate starts dancing around him in a drunken state. She makes a move at Hallam, but he retorts by saying that he is gay. Kate immediately detects his lies and asks him if he has ever been intimate with someone. Hallam dodges the question, and they just fall asleep next to each other. Next morning, Hallam visits Kate in her office and apologizes for what happened last night. However, Kate responds curtly and asks him to keep things professional. He goes back to work, and afterwards, he's sent to deliver a suitcase to room 405. When he enters the room, he finds no one inside, but then, suddenly, Kate appears. It turns out that she wants to talk about last night and wants to apologize as she was way out of line and asks Hallam to forget everything. But then she accepts that she is just joking with Hallam, and they end up making out and finally sleeping with each other in the hotel room. Eventually, John finds out that Kate has been bringing another guy in the hotel room. Hallam catches John and Kate fighting while he is out stalking her. He then follows both of them to Kate's apartment and watches them from her window. He notices that John is being rough with Kate and intervenes to save her. However, he is subdued by John and discloses Hallam's secret of spying on Kate from the hotel rooftop. This information immediately turns Kate off, and she feels disappointed in Hallam. John fires Hallam again, and he is left on the streets wandering aimlessly as Kate shuts all her windows to prevent Hallam from spying. Hallam catches Kate one day and tries to explain his situation and the reason why he had been spying on her. She invites Hallam to her apartment, but is not very welcoming towards him, as Kate forces him to spill everything in detail, and is shocked to find out that Hallam used to spy on his dad and stepmom back at his home. Hallam admits that he has been so obsessed with Kate, as she reminds him of his dead mother. That's when Kate realizes that Hallam is just a lost kid and starts feeling sorry for him. She explains to him about what adult life is really about. Sometimes it's sweet, but most of the time it is full of mess. She also tells him about her failed relationships and explains that getting older complicates the ability to commit. Kate forgives Hallam in the end and lets him stay over at her apartment that night. Later, Hallam shows a photo of his late mother to Kate, and he brings out his mom's old dress, which Kate puts on to make Hallam feel close to his mom. Seeing Kate in his mom's dress makes Hallam break down in tears. Eventually, their relationship starts to heal as they truly understand each other. But one day, Hallam's friend calls him and informs that his parents are at the hotel. Hallam meets his dad, who tells him that he plans to sell his late wife's house for a great business opportunity. But the true reason is him being in debt. Verity has also disclosed everything to Hallam's dad that went down between her and Hallam at the treehouse. But Hallam's dad handles this information rather calmly and doesn't blow up on him. But Hallam becomes furious about selling the house and on Verity as well. He heads home in his animal headdress and face painted, planning to kidnap Verity and drown her at the lake just the way his mother died. But at the last moment, Hallam's humanity takes over his rage, and he revives Verity. After all the chaos, Hallam's dad finally opens up and confesses that he misses his late mother. However, Verity had no hand in his mother's death. It was just Hallam's wild theories and nothing else. Hallam lets himself accept the truth and starts to move on. He then returns to the city, determined to have a real relationship with Kate, but she has already moved on with a new guy. Hallam isn't even allowed in her apartment anymore, and she states that they are not meant to be together, as he is too young and he should start living his life freely. Hallam finally accepts reality and grows up after hearing Kate's words.